There's
Very
your
nice.
slate.
Thank
There
you,
you go.
thank you. Okay. Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you.
I just wanted to first off start by saying I have never seen the film in its entirety, and it was really, truly very special to watch it in this group. I wanted to ask how it felt to kind of be back at Pitt, be screening this film at Pitt, since it's something that you both have talked about doing since you graduated from Pitt.
Yeah, it's literally you're watching two guys live their dreams out. 18 years ago, Nate reminded me the other day that, I said it earlier, this was it. Our dream was, when we were spending our 10,000 hours at that little closet, UPTV, making these videos, we had always dreamed of, having the opportunity to make a film and then bring it back and show, not only the kids, because so many people had done that, but also so many of our mentors are here. Yeah. I mean, it's remarkable. Like, I'm just watching it like Adam Lowenstein's here, like watching our movie. Like I learned about movies because of that man. Janet's here. Janet taught us how to do production and budget and produce stuff. Mark Nobile, the reason this film looks so good is because Mark is our mentor. He taught us how to shoot. And Carl Kurlander taught us, I don't know what he taught us, but but he's here. He's here, guys. He's here. So this is really special. Our old coach, Coach Havern, Pitt legend, man single-handedly beat Penn State back in the day. He showed up. Coach gave us our first, I think our first paying gig was for Shadyside Academy.
Probably our first job was working for Coach Havern.
Yeah, and he's here.
Doing camera work, shooting the games.
It's Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Everyone shows up, and it's outstanding. So thank you.
Yeah,
it's really, this means a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. And kind of talking about, because we're talking about Pitt and all of the opportunities that, honestly, at that point, you guys kind of forged for yourselves, because now for us as filmmakers and film students, we have a very set production program with the opportunity to do like our own thesis films. But for you guys, that really wasn't put into place when you were going to Pitt and pursuing filmmaking and everything like that. So can you tell us a little bit about how you forging your path through opportunities like UPTV, which is the university's television station, for those of you who don't know, helped you in making this film and in your career in general?
Well, yeah, for us, it was all about at first the TV station, because it was kind of unstructured and we had a lot of freedom just to make our own stuff and make whatever we wanted to and pitch each other shows and run out and just shoot it and edit it and then show it to other students. So that was the first thing.
Yeah, that was kind of a big part of it, just not having rules and being free, and just it's funny, it's like you always hear about the big schools, the NYUs, the USCs, things like that, and then later I learned that they don't actually make much.
Yeah, I think they don't get a lot of opportunities just to make a new thing every week.
Yeah.
I think they maybe make one thing a semester, one thing a year, and for us to just go out every day and shoot something.
Literally every day. I skipped so many classes to go to that TV station. I did it all the time. There it is. There's Ian. Yeah. We used to. Yeah, it was wild. We used to just have a lot of fun and just play, and it was a group. It was the best of times. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, working with Carl and Mark and Janet. And making stuff.
Yeah. We did Carl's film, and we learned so much. You just have to do it. I mean, we talked to Owen last night about it. Owen was, I didn't even realize this guy was it was the last day shoot. So Owen was our second AC.
Owen was, half of the camera crew was Owen. Owen, and that's not an exaggeration. He was half of it.
Yeah. And I remember just on the last day of shooting, he's like, oh, yeah, it's my 21st birthday. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, you haven't been drinking beer on set, have you? What kind of laws am I breaking here? But we talked about how, how much you learn doing it. You just have to get in there and get your hands dirty and do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I feel like that can kind of take us into, we were talking about it again yesterday, but your directing style and how that vibe of learning on the go and shooting on the go with what you were doing with UPTV kind of lent itself to this film. to make it more organic. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that process and how that worked for both of you as director and DP?
I mean, yeah, like there's different kinds of directors that I learned, and some people are very, everything has to be storyboarded, everything has to be ready, it has to be this thing, and that's how they work, and that worked for them. I can't work that way. I'm a stoner slacker. I'm terrible at writing papers and stuff. Like I can't do any of that. Luckily, I have this crazy brain that can do 10 million things at once, and kind of have these crazy ideas. I mean, the Pussy King came from up here somewhere. I don't know. That didn't come from writing it on paper. That just came from up here somewhere. And so, like, yeah. So, so my style's always been more, be water, take the shape of whatever container you're in kind of thing, that Bruce Lee quote. And then just kind of go with it. And then, I mean, maybe that's why it took 13 years to make, but that was one thing that, we just kind of kept a really nice, calm set the whole time. And I think Nate was kind of the leader of all that.
I've always heard about Clint Eastwood, and I think you're a Clint Eastwood kind of director.
Oh.
Because I've always heard that he does one take in a short day, and that was kind of the feeling that we had.
Yeah.
But more than just director, you were also everything else. You were a producer, writer, editor. So, I mean, you had to have a lot of different skills come together.
Oh, man. They were in my house. I had to clean my toilet like 30 times a day. Like making coffee, cooking breakfast, doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
It was all sorts of stuff. Yeah. But that's independent filmmaking. That's probably the most fun part of it.
Yeah. I think morale was part of it too.
Yeah.
When it's people coming out like that, you have to, make it enjoyable and fun for them.
Yeah, Nate really...
Because they could easily quit.
Yeah, Nate told me about that in the beginning. He's like, look, we got to have a good set because we're not paying people that much, and everyone wants an excuse to leave. Like, hey, I got this gig, I can go and do that. But it's like, if you're in it and you're like, this is fun, I like this. I'm learning a lot, or we're making a good product.
Plus, this kind of thing usually ends with people arguing and quitting and threatening to sue each other.
Yeah,
so
usually,
you've got to keep it fun.
Yeah, our friend Chris Blim, who was the first AC, said, I'm gonna be honest with you. Usually these films, like we all hate each other at the end. And he's like, this is the only film I don't hate everyone.
Yeah, this kind of thing, it can go bad.
It can go bad real fast. I would say the last day I was like almost like this is getting bad, because we were using my house, and usually there's maybe 15 people in my house, and like, okay, fine, you can deal with that. But when we started doing the party scenes, that became 15 to like 30.
And that was also John's house.
And that was my house. So like 30 people in your house using your one bathroom, you're just like, yo, everyone gotta get the fuck out of here. Like the last day, I was like, I want everyone out. Like, all right, one take, let's go. Just do your take and then walk right to your car. Get the hell out of my house. Just get out of here. And then it wasn't for like, I think, Owen was there. And at the end, we wrapped, and then we kind of just like took a deep breath, and we just kind of sat around for a few hours being like, oh man, like this is really special. This is really good, so yeah, it was really cool.
I love what you said about take shape, like take whatever. You said it more better than what I remember.
Be water.
Yeah, be water. So like when you would enter a location, because all the locations look beautiful, and I wouldn't have known that was your house if you didn't say, and like same with, I'm sure securing locations like the coffee shop and the bar, like it was, because it was an indie film, you kind of want to get them to work with you and do the best you can to get the best deal and whatnot. When you enter the space as like director and DP, what are the things that you're considering? What is kind of the process that you go through, and then communicating that with your crew as well, to get the best look of what you imagine for the entire film?
That's a good question. I mean, usually, there's indie films, you're always faced with like one or two things. It's like what you want to do and what's possible. And this was a case of it. Like the coffee shop up front, we had a different coffee shop that a buddy promised me. Like, he's like, my brother has a coffee shop. He'll give it to you for free. It's good. We'll do it. And like a week or two before, he's like, oh, he wants like $2,000. I was like, what? I don't have $2,000. So I was like, crap. And I get online, I find this one coffee shop, and I'll go walk over and take a look, see what it looks like. And I walk in, and I'm like, hey, do you guys ever rent this out? And they're like, yeah. Oh, wait, that's the owner right there. Go talk to him. And then I just go in, and, I was really, I had to there was a switch in my head where I had to pull that. I said like, yo, sorry I curse a lot, but like, you really got to be the motherfucker. You really got to be the guy, and I'm not like this. I'm usually pretty quiet. I don't like bothering people. I don't like asking stuff. I don't, you're doing your thing. So, but like, for this to happen, I had to be the guy that's gonna walk in. I had to do like Carl taught us. Like, you got to go in and be like, all right, buddy, let me tell you why you're gonna give me this coffee shop at this rate, and you're gonna do it for me, and I'm gonna need this room, and I'm gonna need the other room, and this is why it's gonna make your life perfect. And you go in, you give the spiel. It's like, oh, listen, 13 years ago, I lost my dad, toughest, and then you do the whole thing, and then you get them to buy in, and I'm like, I hate doing this stuff. But then we get
besides just being a director, there's all this other stuff you had to do.
You have to do everything. You have
to make the movie.
You have to convince everyone to do it. You have to, and it's so hard. I had to, you have to convince your cast, your crew, and just like, hey, I know Nate, I know how much Nate charges. I know what he's worth, and probably more than that. And it's like, well, but I don't have that. And then just but then everything becomes a happy accident. We had the one house that we were shooting the Tommy scene, the crazy conspiracy theorist. We had the house, we were ready, and then the day before, the roommate got COVID. So we were like, oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And then we're just calling, and then one buddy, Spencer's like, yeah, sure, you can use my house, but I gotta work in the back room. We're like, great. He's like, what are you gonna do to it? We're like, nothing, it'll be easy. And then we covered the whole thing with tinfoil and took over his backyard. And he was like, oh, you said, and I was like, I know, but Spencer, I'm the motherfucker today, So yeah, you gotta do all that stuff, yeah.
Awesome.
I'd like to say, on the first day, when you're talking about you have to convince the crew, the cast, and whatnot, I remember coming in, we didn't really have a prep day or anything like that, so Nate was like, hey, can you grab this? And I'm like, what'd you say?
Yeah.
Just not knowing too much stuff, so I was a little nervous, a little anxious about not knowing too many people on the set and whatnot. I remember John stood up, and he kind of, before he started shooting, he just addressed everyone, saying, thank you so much for being here, and just kind of pouring his heart out. That meant a lot.
Oh, cool, man.
First day.
Yeah,
So
I cried every day on set. I remember, they have it on tape. I'm like crying. I'm like, ugh. I don't know if Churchill cried in front of his guys, but we'll get through this. Yeah.
No, yeah, it was just that kind of made me feel at home. So
Oh, cool. Thank you, man.
It was destined to succeed.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, really, you just put in. All you're trying to do is I've come around to this that directing is just you're the coach. You're the coach. And it's you just got to get the players to do what they're best at, It's easy when you have Michael Jordan behind the camera and you just say, yo, cook. Like you said, how do you design a scene? I would go in, I'd look, and I'd be like, oh, yeah. Okay. Nate, what do you think? And he'd be like, we should shoot it. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, good. Yeah. All right, I'll go tell everyone that was our plan. You know what I mean? You tell the actors, oh, just do your thing. Just be great, that kind of thing. And then if you do it, this is what happens.
I think, what you're saying, and that goes to show kind of the familiarity and family that even just you two working together kind of created, just because you had known each other since you were kids in school. So what was that like, getting to work together after years of working together in the station and then working and learning together on films and going your separate ways and working in your respective fields and then coming back for this film?
That was the dream. The countless hours, hiding from the William Pitt Union officer. I was telling them we used to our old station was at the cathedral, and they wouldn't let you up at night. So we found the one entrance you could open the door, and if one person held it, the other guy could crawl underneath. And then they would push it open, and then Nate would crawl underneath. And if you hit the elevator, you don't hit 11 because then the cops will know you're on the 11th floor. So hit 15 and then run down to the 11th floor before everyone else gets there. And then you could lock the door and edit all night, So it's running these kind of it's all independent filmmaking. It's all punk rock, it's all that, and it was great. It was great to get the band together.
Yeah, I think for me it was really comfortable because I know what it's. I know we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that we disagreed on anything.
No.
I think everything, every scene, I think we knew what we wanted to do and did it and agreed, and it was, it was enjoyable. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I had a great few weeks.
Yeah, it really was a fun time. It was in the moment I was trying to, it's just going so fast, it's so frustrating. I mean, I can tell you all the stories, but there's some nights where you're just like laying on the floor by yourself crying, like I ruined this, like what am I doing? Like this is bad, this is it, but then you just gotta really believe. I went into making this film thinking, whatever you do, you just gotta finish. Like, I don't even care if the movie's good. Like, it's been 13 years. Just tell your story. Just get it done, and then go, I don't know, go live on an island or something. Go do something else. But like, get this done so that, you can say your whole life you wanted to be a film director. You went to college for it. You have all these people teaching you, and you can say like, look, I did it, right, guys? Okay, the movie was whatever. Okay, good, but I'm done. And then it came out pretty well. So that was really special. But I do want to point out, when you're talking about getting the gang back together, I got to shout out Mr. Pete Mudge in the back row, aka Nice Wreck. For you guys who don't know, that's our composer of our film. Yeah. And he's brought his team with him that helped. C. Scott helped, and then Cam sang those last two songs. So it's a whole squad here. Yeah, and that was really special. I've known Nice Wreck, aka Scandalous Freeminder, aka Pete Mudge. He was the first person I met freshman year, one of the first people. I had bought turntables. I thought I was a DJ, and Pete walks in Lothrop, 4th floor, and goes, "Oh, you DJ too, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like dragging his turntable. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna set up. Come over. I'm in the last room." I was like, "All right, bet." I show up, and he's like, "Yo, go at it. You want to scratch?" And I was like, "Oh no, you go first, man." And he was just like, "All right, cool." I retired on the spot. I was like, okay, all right. Well, I'm a fraud. I'll let him handle the music. I'll do the video. And what was it, 2001?
He did music on your college film.
He did music.
Your short.
Yep, and then I've been using his music literally forever. I think he's the most brilliant musician I've ever met. He's got platinum records, gold records. He's got everything, all out of Pittsburgh. And I think he deserves his flowers. And I wish Pitt brought him back and had him talk, because the guy's a genius. And then, I would just make videos all the time, and I would have him send me a folder of music. I would take a song, make a video, and send it to him. Like, hey, look. And then he was over. Every time he comes to LA, we hang, get dinner and stuff. And he was over, and I was like, "Yo, I think I'm doing the movie." And he was always like, "Yeah, man, you got to do the movie. You got to do." I'm always pushing him like, "You got to make music. You got to make a movie. We're doing it." And then I was like, "Yo, man, you gonna do a track? Can I get a track?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You want to do the whole thing?" Right, motherfucker mode. Like, no. Oh, one? Oh, you say one or the whole thing? Oh, you said the whole thing. Okay, great. And he did. And I absolutely like it. It's shot so beautifully by a Pitt guy. It sounds so beautiful from a Pitt guy.
Directed so beautifully.
I guess.
Owen.
But there's a lot of other people too. Sean Cook, the producer, is a Pitt grad. And there's a couple other people. I'm drawing blanks right now, but yeah, it's a lot of special people involved. But yeah, it was great. And then Pete came, and like the last week that we were doing it, and we got to sit in together, and he would literally make, we'd watch the film, and he'd be like, "All right, let's do the ending this," or "I didn't think, let's try this. So shout out my man. Yeah.
Not to mention, I think it's pretty cool and inspiring for like us students who are all working together now to be like even though if we go separate ways or move or stay, like we can all still work together. And I think that's pretty cool and beautiful and inspiring for us to see that happen, and then
be inspired to kind of continue that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys always inspire me. I mean, I don't know if you guys know like Sam McCoy and An and Haley. Like when they were doing, I met them the last time I was out here, and they had done a short film, and they were thinking about doing the second half of the short film or doing a feature. And I told Haley, I was like, you got to do the feature. She's like, why? I was like, because you're gonna end up 40 years old having never done a feature. I was like, you got to do it. And I was just pushing hard on them, and they did it. And I 100% say that they're a huge reason why we were able to do ours, because
It really helped a lot with advice on fundraising.
I picked their brain for that, and just like, man, I would say the darkest day I had was a few days before production, and I was just literally just laying by myself, like in tears. And then Sam's just like, how's it going? Out of the blue, she lives in New York, and I was like, well, like I'm trying, like I feel like I'm not prepared. I feel like this, and she's like, well, you'll always wish you had more time, but no one knows the story more than you do, and you just got to believe in yourself, and you just got to get it done. And I was like, oh, thanks, Sam. I was like, that's great advice. She's like, yeah, that's what you told me. Like, just listen to yourself. And I was like, God damn it. And I was like, oh, man. And I just like kind of laughed and was like, oh, okay. If this recent college grad can see it more than I can see it, then like, okay, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. Yeah, so. Yes, Janet. Okay, that's a good question. So I've been trying to tell this story for a long time. So for those who don't know, this is actually based off a true story. A lot of it is. I did, after my dad passed, I did go to a coffee shop, and I did meet a girl, and we spent the whole day together. And I remember this was back in the Tumblr days, and I wrote, one day this is gonna be a movie. Like I just was in it, like this feels like a movie. And we had done a short film and all this stuff, and then I was like, been trying forever, and I couldn't really get around to it. And then I found myself in this terrible trap, which was, like my wife would say, let's go on vacation. And I'd say, I should be working on the movie. And then I'd go, and I wouldn't work on the movie. And then it was like, well, I didn't go on vacation, and I didn't work on the movie, and now my wife's mad at me, and I feel like a loser. And that vicious cycle just happened for 10 years, and then I just wasn't enjoying it. And I had this great job. I have a great job. I work at Fox Sports, and it allows me to like go to Qatar and go to the Super Bowl and go to the World Series and all this stuff. But I didn't like love, I was always 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because I'd say, well, I know this is just like a job, but like I'm really a feature film director. But I wasn't. And so one day I just had to have a heart to myself, and I had to quit. I literally went to my bathroom, looked myself in the mirror, which is like an awkward thing, and I said to myself, you are not a film director anymore. You have to quit, man. And when you're ready, you'll be ready, but you're done. You're free. Freedom sets you free. And I did. And I was like, I'm good. And then it was great. I got to go on the vacation. I got to enjoy my job. That's when we won the Emmy and the Webbies and all. Like I really got to do this thing.
What year was this?
This was about 4 some years before I wrote it. So, and that was 3 years ago. So yeah, about 7
years ago.
Yeah. And I was like I was good. And then I was like feeling great. Life was good. Everything was good. And then I was shooting my buddy's short film, and someone was shooting the other half, a mutual friend of ours who I won't say, nice guy. But he was like, oh, who's shooting the other half? And my buddy goes, John Hill. And he goes, oh, does John Hill still make stuff? And I was like, oh, y'all motherfuckers forgot about me. It was like that Jordan meme. I was like, I took that personally. So I was like, yeah, I make stuff. I'm back. And then the next day, I was like, let's start writing. I called up our boy Dave Seeger and was like, yeah, I need you to meet with me once a week and hold me to the fire. And every week I'd go, I paid him a little money, and he's like, all right, what's your main character? You have 1 week to figure out. Get me the first, act 1 next week. Give me act 3. Write down 10 crazy people they could run into. Bring that back by Monday. Give me 10 places they could go, 10 activities they can do. And that's where things like conspiracy theorist person comes in. That's where bikes comes in, and you start writing these things. And then he was like, all right, you have the outline. Like, now you got a month, or he's like, get a draft in a month, But I think I needed time away from it, and I work very well with spite. Like, if someone tells me I can't do something, or they spite me, like, then I'm like, all right, that's like, I often say I cover the chip on my shoulder by wearing my heart on my sleeve. Like, everything I do is because someone told me I couldn't. You know what I mean? Like you can't do it. Like, I think that's just part of my ethos. Like, even this whole thing, like, no one in my family graduated college. Like, my mom did not have hot water. She didn't have electricity when my dad married her. And now, here I am, the university has invited me back to play a movie. Like, that's full circle. We had to fly Spirit, but that's okay. Maybe in the second film we can get like Delta or something. Yeah, maybe.
But then it did come together really fast when you decided to make it.
So fast, yeah.
It was 13 years of saying you're going to make it, and then I think you said in 2 months we're going to shoot it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the other direction. I was like, 2 months? Are you sure?
It's crazy.
That's really fast, dude. That's not really.
Yeah.
But then I think you said you want to do it by Father's Day.
Yeah, so that was the thing. So it was like we wanted to, you kind of had to work backwards. And we knew we were like, I want this thing done because I need to move on with my life. For me to like accomplish it, I need to be done by the Sundance cut at like 8, you start working backwards, and you're like, okay, I should start shooting it in like June.
This is about 1 year ago.
Yeah.
You said in June we're going to shoot it.
Yeah. Because they asked me, they were like, pick a day. And I picked, it was June 19th, which was my father's birthday, was our original start date. And then things got a little hectic, so we pushed it back. But
Not by much, though.
it was like June 26th, yeah, the next week. And
Yeah.
then we shot, we finished shooting July 11th or 13th. So it hasn't even been a year, like.
And you launched the Kickstarter in May?
Yeah, it was like a
It
month
was?
before.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a month before. Yeah, so it was just like we didn't
Yeah.
even have the Kickstarter money. Was like not even coming in. It was like, all right,
Yeah, it was.
I hope this check comes in before I owe people money. Like I don't know what to do. Yeah, but yeah, and it came out. It came out way better than I ever thought. Yeah.
Hey guys.
Oh yeah.
Major professor, very proud.
Oh
I gotta ask a professorial question.
yes. I want all of it.
Which is, did you know from the very beginning that it was gonna be black and white, or was that a decision that came later?
Well, we couldn't afford color SD cards. Okay, that's a nerd joke. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you.
Did you write it in black and white?
I don't think I did. There's a couple reasons. We were talking about this earlier, and I said we were watching. I was watching Cold War while we were, and I was like, everyone says this is like the best cinematography and all this stuff. And I texted Nate, and I was like, is this movie like, is it even shot well? And he was like, nah, I think it's just because it's in black and white. People think it looks better. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a good trick. We should, all right, we should try that.
I've noticed that if you want to win an award, black and white
It's the way to go.
Usually-
the way to go.
usually
the way
works.
to go.
I would like to point out real quick, the IMDb page says it's in color.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, fake news. We got to get on that. We got to get that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
When you get this question the next time, you say, this is my tribute to Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. Well, I will say that too, though. But okay, so it wasn't just that. It was also like, part of me, one thing I had to do when I was writing the script, because, why it took so long was like figuring out, because the problem is, it's like, the character Jay is really tough, right? Because he's like this guy who thinks everything's good, right? So what's the arc of a guy that's happy and thinks everything's good? So it was hard to figure out that circle, and because I always thought I was good, and it wasn't until my friend Chris confessed to me. He was like, "No, we knew you weren't good. We could tell that you weren't good." I was like, but I felt good. And they was like, yeah, I don't care what you feel. Like, we all knew you were broken inside. You know, you were just putting a facade on, you know, like Jay did. So that was always hard to, like, how do you get this thing over? And then at one point I was like, oh, it's a comedy. Like, you just got to write it as funny as possible and make it weird and just make it, like, you got to, like, really, really laugh at it and figure out that's how you get the story. And part of the thing I was doing was like, well, why do I love movies? Like, what were the movies that got me into it? Like, why am I even doing, like, this, like I said, this trap I'm in? Like, why? What caused this? And I started thinking about the old films I grew up loving. And it was the French New Wave. It was a Kurosawa. It was like all these it was Clerks. And, you know, like, Clerks was like one of the early films. And I was like, oh, I love this movie. So then I was like, oh, all these are kind of, they're all in black and white. Maybe I love black and white. And then we did a couple test shoots. And I was still debating. And then we watched it. And my wife was like, the black and white just feels more romantic. And I was like, ah.
Yeah, I think for me too, that was one of the main reasons.
That was the one, yeah,
for
because, yeah.
Romance. But,
Yeah.
But also practical reasons, because I thought there isn't really a budget for production design
Yeah.
and for color correction.
Yeah.
So
Because-
this is,
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that. I mean, yeah. Spiritually, it's because, to me, it's a love letter. It's a love letter. Thank you. It's a love letter to my family, my home, my friends, everyone, my university, everyone. You know, I said this on our premiere, but, like, you know, when in the movie when Jay says, "You're the reason I got through this," like I meant that. You know, I didn't write that line. I lived it with a lot of you in this room. So I think that is a part of it. It was that kind of like nostalgia. You know, in the neighborhood I live in, it's getting gentrified slowly and surely, and I think this would be a way to, like, capture it and make it a little more timeless. Yeah. And then on the practical reason, yeah, there is some benefit knowing that you don't have money to paint walls. You know, if you're like, it's great to be like, oh, the color scheme will be, you know, this, we're doing this, but if this is the only room you have, sorry, buddy, your color scheme's blue and this, you know. So
yeah.
in black and white, you can kind of,
Also in a longer feature length thing, as a way to kind of keep it feeling cohesive and
yeah,
as one look. I mean, I like the idea for a lot of reasons.
yeah.
As the other professor, I'd like to weigh in.
Okay, what's your
I
take?
want to take this a little back to let people know, because you've got undergraduates here.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm a little hard on, I might have been. So I've always loved you guys as people as much as it's appropriate for a professor to love
yeah,
students.
yeah,
I love you.
yeah.
But as you know, we've had creative conflicts from the beginning.
Oh yeah,
You were in my screenwriting class.
yeah,
It's not always a creative agreement. And John, you know, you made a movie about a girl who, the mustache movie. Is that what you call it?
yeah. Hidden stash.
He did a
Yeah,
great
see?
job with the music.
Look, it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept saying, John, what is it? You believe this guy wakes up, he gets knocked on the head, and he looks at his girlfriend, and she got a mustache.
Yeah.
Didn't have a heart.
See, look, it plays. It still plays.
I really mean this. When I read the screenplay, it was the best screenplay I've read in years.
Oh, thank you, Carl.
So I
It means a
think
lot.
back, if I can grade change the C I gave to the screenwriter.
Yeah.
And it's A+.
Yeah.
And the movie is beyond wonderful, but I do want people to know, because they look at it now, and, you know, everyone, the good thing is you guys were never arrogant. You were always like, hey, how can we make this better? And Lord knows I'm Chelsea City for 2 years, so keeping on trying to make it better. But I just want to, since Coach Housen's here, I figure it's a good way. People don't realize the paying your dues. So maybe I can
Yeah.
turn it over to the coach. To describe
What's
when you
this?
guys got, I think it was one of your first paying gigs that
It
I
was,
wasn't hiring
yeah.
you or other people. So Coach, maybe you went and visited them. Maybe you can describe a little bit when you hired them to film the Shady Side football team. If you don't mind just talking a little bit about where they lived and the first day of their shooting of trying to film Shady Side football team. Statute of limitations are on.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm a football coach. I actually, well, 50, not 50, but about 35 years before John became director. But we needed film so we could scout other teams and watch ourselves. So I didn't know anybody. Carl was in, distinguished Shadyside Academy grad. So I asked him, I said, you got any guys? so after talking, especially with Nathan for a while, they did not know if it was blowing up their stuff as far as football was concerned. So they would do some things like the guy would throw the pass and Nate's photography would still stay on the guy who threw it. He wouldn't fall. There's some little concept that they had to get. And they did a hell of a job, and I was nice. I told them before the film come out, this was wonderful.
Thank you, Coach.
And it didn't come out of my budget, but I was really impressed with the business deal that they made with the parent organization. That was pretty good. But we would play our games Friday night, and Saturday morning we would, and then we would meet, and we would go over the film the night before, which meant, and I was fortunate, I just live up the street in 23, but John and Nate was terrible. Like, bouquet down by the post office.
Yeah.
Rats wouldn't stay.
Yeah.
Every Saturday.
That's where you live? That's hilarious.
You know, I would like to have it early Saturday morning, but when I went down the first time to pick it up about 8, and really, there was maybe 1,000 beer cans.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, flip cup. Flip cup. Yeah, yeah.
But they did a fine job, and it was like, you know, it was interesting, you know, and it was like, I needed something, I need Carl, only because of the shade side, and he needed these guys, and it worked out really well. I see you guys.
I know. When I heard you were coming, I was so happy.
You know, so I probably have your first highlight film.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Oh yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Yeah, I know. I should play it.
So
You know, and not to, I was thinking about what the professor said, probably a lot more layman terms. The fact that it was a love letter,
Yeah,
which is wonderful now.
Yeah.
Nathan's photography,
yeah.
when you guys did you just figure, you know, talking to John, did you say that's how he would see it, or you know, or even the last scene on a pier?
Yeah.
Dude, that was really strong. How's that happen? I got it from a layman. Although I do
I-
have a master's in film from
The-
Indiana University of Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
I was, you know, also had Cal. I was coaching. But how's that work?
I think how it worked out was I had read some drafts over the years, but the final draft that I read, once we went through it, I said, so I was thinking it looked like this and this, and you, I think were like, yep, me too. And then I'd say, and on this part, do you think we should do this? And you're like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And so I think we were just on the same page of, I mean, it came from your script, but I think we just always agreed on it should have a lot of movement. It's people walking and talking, and so I think moving camera was a big part of it. And I think overall we just, I pictured it from the script the same way that you pictured it, and we just worked on filming it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say too, so much of like, you know, it's very difficult. Look, there's a lot of bad indie films. It's hard to make a great film with not much money. Like it just really is. And I would say we exceeded everything. Like most $100,000 films does not end up like that. And so much of the film is like, I call it a walkie-talkie. They're just two people walking and talking, right? And that could get very visually boring. And then luckily, you know, we'd always figure out like, how do we try to make this not just boring, you know? And a lot of that was Nate having a Steadicam and keeping it moving and knowing like, you know, part of it's like how we shot it. If you notice, a lot of the longer takes are in the beginning when they meet, right? And we try to keep as much distance from them as we can at times, because as they're getting to know each other, there's more distance. You know, and as the film gets closer and closer to the bedroom, now they're really close and we're on a real tight lens, to the point that we're above them watching. You know, in the film we're always at the heaven level watching down, right? Until we get to that bed moment where we're really on top of them. So it's kind of like that, and knowing that like you can, when you're watching the movie, you can probably get away with longer takes early on because they're new and they're not going to be boring. And then as you get more and more, you got to start speeding up a little. You got to like, all right, we've heard you talk for a long time. Like let's start getting some excitement in there. You know, let's throw in a conspiracy theorist. Let's get some bikes. Let's, you know, start moving and doing things like that. Yeah. So you got to have to then build it up so you're not bored, and then you get to like the party scene, and it's like, okay, one shot, like let's keep this thing moving, and let's get those drums going, like get them going, and then put in that little, like let's start getting them there, because we got to ramp up until the fight,
I think it was all in the script though. Everything
Yeah.
about it was in your script.
Yeah, yeah. And we also talked too, like my thing was like, we talked early on, like just if you're at a fork in the road about what to do, go extreme. Like if we're gonna shoot wide, shoot really wide. If you're gonna shoot tight, we'd always joke, hey, grab that 135. Like the 135 lens is like, that's that super tight, And whenever we'd be like, I don't know what to do, we'd be like, grab the 135, because no one usually uses that lens, so we'll do that, and then just try to keep it going, and then yeah.
The dialogue was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
The aerial shots
Yeah.
are really a love letter to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like nothing I've seen. And
Thank
the
you.
music was outstanding.
Yeah.
And all just was flawless.
Oh, thank you.
And on a side note, I've been on a lot of sets.
Oh yeah.
This set was the calmest set I have ever witnessed in my life. It was so calm.
And that's funny because I remember you
That
telling
that
me
was the most frantic.
that
day
was
that
like
we
the
had.
day I was
That
freaking
was.
out, and then because it was the hospital stuff. So okay, first of all, we're about to shoot this hospital stuff, and we're like, someone's got to play my dad, right? And I was like avoiding this thing, and I was like, we're gonna wear the mask, we won't see it, and then hey, Jim, okay, and then the girls, our interns, were like, it should be Carl, and I was like, what the you sick fucks, because Carl used to always call me and Nate the boys, and they're like, he wants to do it. I was like, this is so perverse. Like, no, Carl, you're not my dad. You can't be like I love you as a mentor. I know you call me the boys, but like we gotta draw a line. You're sick. You're sick. I was like, no. And they're like, we don't have anyone else. You gotta like. Sean's like, come on, I think you would do it. Like, and I was like, okay, fine. He can play my dad, but Natalie has to be the nurse that pulls the plug. And they were like, all right, we can do that. Okay, I was like, all right, we can do that. But that was the one day we rented that location, and we were getting close to the end, and one of our PAs was like slacking. I remember being like, buddy,
Because we had this hospital set for only a couple hours.
only a couple hours, and that was the most stressful one. And then I remember on set, you were like, I've never seen it set this. I'm like, I'm freaking out.
It was just the chillest, coolest
Yeah.
place to be. And I was just like, how do these guys pull this off?
That was the hardest one too. Well, the one that broke me, the one that really, really hurt, was the photo of me and my dad in the hand.
Oh, yeah.
That one was rough, because that is the real photo I put in his hand. The end story is verbatim. Everything else, some of the films like obviously a little different, but that end speech he gives is how I tell this. Tonight, if you want to ask me, I'll tell you the exact same story. And we were driving to the hospital set, and I was like, should you do the photo? And I was like, I don't know, like maybe that's too much. Like there's got to be a point, like Danny says to Jay, not everyone likes to talk about themselves, like you do. And so I was like, maybe I shouldn't. And then I was like, for this,
That's my favorite part of the movie.
I know. I'm like, for this to be real, you got to do it. You just have to. And so I like grabbed the photo before we left, and it was like the last shot. And I was like, Carl, like don't move. And I put it in. I'm watching the monitor, and then he pulls it out, and I just saw it. And that was like the first time. I'm getting choked up now. That was the first time where I was like, oh fuck, like this hurts. Like this is like, oh. And you could hear in the take, I break. I couldn't call cut. I was just like, cut. And I like ran out the room, and I was like, just keep shooting something. I was just like, I needed a moment. This was too real. But then it worked. And I think every time I had the choice, like, do you go more real? Like every time I took that choice, I think it paid off. Yeah. So.
I think that's so brave. Like, I
Yeah.
think that doesn't, a lot of people are like, oh, real life stories, you're making stuff up here and there, but it's very brave to like be vulnerable and put
Yeah.
that on screen and have those moments so real in your film. So
Thank you. I think Vineet has a question. He's been holding his hand up forever.
So it's really clear, and obviously you have such a close connection to you would work on it to the point where you would see the same lines that you wrote over and over again to the point where it seemed sort of the words seemed to lose their meaning, or was this something that you just knew that it seemed fresh every time you went back to it?
A little bit of both, you know, and I said this at the premiere, you know, this film, like, I never wanted to make this film, right? Like, there's nothing else I'd rather have done in my life than made a different film and have my dad in this audience watching that film. Like, I got other films in me. All right? It doesn't have to be about this. This didn't need to have to be. So it's not that I think I wanted to make this film. I think part of it was like I had to make this film. Like, I just had to do this, right? Like, and I think it's very much like Jay, right? Like Jay, all Jay wants to do is like get in front of everyone he knows and tell them that they helped them get through the hardest time they had. And pretty obvious that's what I'm doing, you know? So in the writing process, I would say like I kind of had the big points. And I mean, I've been telling Nate about this film, like 13, I'd say like, oh, okay, I think this is it. I think it's like me meets this girl, and I think it's the end where I'm at Bronger's party, you know, the real guy's name's Bronger, and maybe I just tell the last day, you know, it's this crazy story about, you know, me seeing the sunlight and me turning to my dad, like all this stuff. There's always the middle part that was hard. And like I said earlier, like at one point I realized I was like, no, dude, this is a comedy, like go for it. Like you got into this business to make people laugh. Like even if it's a serious subject, like this most serious subject matter I have, like you still got to try to make people laugh. Like that was the thing. So once I made that switch of like, oh, this is supposed to be funny. Like every side character should be like hilarious. Like Jay is the straight man. Like he just like shows up and is trying to exist. Like Jay's whole thing is he wants to come back to his old life, right? That's what I wanted to do. But you don't have, like everything's changed and he just hasn't caught up to that yet and he hasn't experienced it yet. So I think once I kind of made that like, oh, go funny, make these things, then I was able to do it. And then just kind of like, and there was a part where I was like, yo man, like you just gotta talk your shit. Like you gotta just like, you know, I think for a long time I was trying to make a different kind of movie, like what would people want? And talk about subjects they would want, but then I was like, nah, I'm just gonna like
A whole different movie, or make this one different?
no, make this one, but just like what like they were talking about. And then I was like, no, I think you're just gonna say white people are wild. You know, I think you're just gonna tell the story about how you've seen your mom pee herself a bunch. Like I think you should just do that. And then at the end of the day, whether people like it or not, it doesn't matter because like you'll have it. This is like my family's film, you know, it's like our story. It's like our documentary kind of thing, you know, so that's kind of, once I had that switch, you know, I was like, yeah, I think we can get this thing done. Oh, so yes. So I took this film in October after we submitted it. I flew it to Thailand to watch. So my mom, after my dad, it's true, after my dad passed, she moved back to Thailand. My family's from Thailand. And we started watching. I was like, okay, we're gonna watch this. This will be great. 5 minutes in, she's just ugly crying. Like as soon as he's like, yeah, my dad died, she's just like, ah! Ah! And like it's me, my wife, it's her, her boyfriend, and then we're just like, I just look at her, I'm like, oh no, I didn't think it'd be like this is early. Like this is like we're like 2 minutes into this film. Like, oh no. And I remember thinking like, holy shit, she doesn't know your version of the end. I don't know if I told her. And maybe I did, but it was 13 years, you know, maybe.
Was she there?
No. I was like, because her and my, like, they left the room. It was just me and him. So like, I just was thinking like for the next 80 minutes, I was just like, yo, turn this shit off. Like, this is sadistic. Like, you're gonna break your mom. Like, this is gonna be bad. But I was like, you know what? Like, we just got to get through it as a family. Like, I made this movie and I love this movie and my mom's got to watch it. And he starts giving the speech and it's 20 minutes. It's just ugly cry. It's just like brutal, painful. And I'm just sitting there feeling like the worst son. And but at the end, yeah, she really loved it, and she was like, and she said it. She was like, we were there, and then she couldn't be around, and so she left, and my brother went with her. So my brother still hasn't seen the movie, so I'm gonna break his heart in a few weeks. It's terrible. So they left, but they've never seen my side, and I think, at the time, I kind of kept that story to myself for years because I thought it was like me and my dad's, it was like the joke that he played on me, I think at the time I was like, okay, well, if we're gonna do this, I think I kind of have to sit here. I have to be the one, so if anyone's watching, blame me, and I don't think I ever really told him the last moments, so yeah, it was rough. It was rough, but she really liked it at the end. She was really, really happy, yeah.
Did you ever consider starring in it yourself?
When I first, because when I was writing it, a bunch of people told me I should act in it. Did you tell me?
I did.
Yeah. And like a couple other people like, you should be in it, you should be in it. And then I was thinking about it, but then I kind of realized, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna hate my acting, and then I'm gonna hate my directing. And then I'm just gonna hate this thing. Because I'm not really an actor, and then I won't be behind the camera, which is my strength. And I was like, nah, just don't. I think if we had made this film like 10 years ago when we were younger, I think I would have done it. I think it would have been a different film. It would have been handheld, really gritty, and I think I would have acted in it. Like the original versions, I was like, okay, I'll be a part of it. And in the short film, it's me, and I think early on I would have said like, yeah, I'll do that. But then at this point I was like, be behind the camera, be a director, and also like Chris is an amazing actor, and he's way better looking than me, so like. Oh yeah, we had a great cast.
How did you get in touch with
Maddie Cardopple.
Cardopple.
So one thing we did this time, and it was like probably definitely the biggest thing that happened, was we were debating whether to get a casting director or not, because they're not cheap, and I was like, I know a lot of people, and for like years up to it, I would on my Instagram I'd follow every like Asian American actor, and I just like had a bunch of hot Asian dudes on my phone, like nonstop. And then like I was like, all right, well, whatever. And then I was talking to someone, and they were like, you should do it because they'll deal with SAG. Like they'll like this isn't like you and your friends making a film. This is like a real movie. Do it right. Like
It does get really complicated with all these contracts and everything.
it gets really complicated, and once again, it's like like you're the coach. Get an assistant coach, get a shooting coach, get the player personnel that just does that job. So Sean Cook, one of the producers, Sean was like one of the first people to sign up. Dan Reeser too, they produced the movie, Owe Them Everything. And Sean was like, I found someone, one of my actors recommended this woman, Jamie Gallagher. And we met with her, and she was great. She was just wonderful. And she was like, yeah, let's start. And she knew Kayun. She knew her like in her personal life. They had mutual friends and stuff. She was like, I know this Korean girl, you should meet her. She's great. She's like the easiest person to work with, all that stuff. And yeah, we met her, and I was like sold, like let's pick her. And then Jamie also knew Maddie. They had worked together for a long time. And
I'd met Maddie a long time ago.
you had met Maddie?
Maddie
Yeah.
asked me to shoot something of his like 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. He's just like a comedy dude. And then, so we had
He
actually.
used to be, I think he was the Farrelly brothers' assistant.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then he started getting parts in.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like, I think we had kind of offered like, so he plays Brandon, but Brandon is actually based off a former coworker, Brandon Newman. And Brandon is like a former defensive lineman from Notre Dame. He very much, you guys watch Curb? He's very much like Leon. Like he's just like really funny and like probably inappropriate and just like a hilarious guy. And so I was like, Maddie don't really look like that. I don't think it'll be him. And we had offered him like the Uber driver role and all that. And he was like, yeah, Jamie, honestly, like I'm trying to do bigger roles. And then she was like, what about like someone else? And I was like, oh, let's see if he would do Brandon. And we'd have to change the character to fit his personality because, you know, Brandon originally was this confident guy that could get all the girls and all this stuff. And Maddie obviously played him more like Maddie, which is like just a weird, awkward, dry character.
Were they still both supposed to be the Pussycat Dolls?
It was always the
Oh, it was
Pussycat.
always
Oh,
the
yeah.
Pussycat.
No, that was set.
Maddie brought a lot to it.
Maddie brought a lot.
Maddie really had a lot of ideas.
He did. He's an incredible actor, and he's been in so many things. And then the rest of the cast was like either we would just do, you know, we did just a casting. You know, we just get a lot of, you know, like a lot of the people were just like, that's how we got Chris. We just posted, we were looking for, you know, this type of person, and then you watch hundreds of tapes, and then he was by far the best, easy. It wasn't even really close. And then sometimes you audition, like, you know, sometimes they audition for one role, and they just weren't quite right for it, and then you're like, oh, but this person's so funny, like I gotta find a spot for them, and then we would
Like Roger.
Yeah, Roger is like his name's Cole Mysick, and I believe in that kid so much. I think he's
So
gonna be a
he
star.
auditioned for Chris, didn't he?
Yeah,
The lead.
yeah. He auditioned for Chris, and I just don't think it was quite right there, and he played Roger like killer. But the guy Michael, who plays the Vintage Shop, he had auditioned for the Mikey role, and it just wasn't like, you know, Mikey's got to be kind of a tough friend, you know, a heart-to-heart friend, and Michael wasn't that. But I was like, he's so funny, like, let's see if he'll be the Vintage Shop owner, and then he kills it. He's so good, yeah. So, yeah, and then a lot of the people, like, we kind of knew from our own world or that kind of thing. But one thing I wanted to do with this was, like, expand my pool. Like, we'd always say, like, oh, we have this friend that would be in it, right? And I was like, great, but, like, I really wanted to like try working with different people because that would make me a better director. Like I have to learn how to deal with different people, and you know they would bring a different side of me that you know I needed to push. You know,
The comedians were all real comedians.
and the
They
comedians
just
are all
did.
real comedians. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just because we're on the topic of casting, just to touch on the Asian American representation that's in this, because I think it's done, it's not like in your face. Like they're just two people existing, and then you meet their families, and there's
Yeah.
bilingual dialogue, and I'm like, I really appreciate that. So how important was that for you to like incorporate that in both of these characters' lives in some way that wasn't like an identity crisis story, but just was kind of part of their everyday life?
Yeah. I think like when I was making it, at one point, I said I'm going to be unapologetically Asian in the film. Like at first I was like, I'll put a little in, I'll put a little, you know, and I was like, again, kind of writing for a different kind of big picture film type thing, what I was trying to do. And then I was like, no, make this about you. Like these are your stories, and my wife's Korean, so like Danny became Korean, you know, in the film, and really make it about, you know, her family. Like that's my wife's bedroom.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's
that's my
That's her
step
house, yeah.
my in-laws' house, and that's like her bedroom from like when she was you know, in high school or something. So it was always like trying to drop those kind of details in every single place we could to make it, you know, just more authentic. And again, like, you know, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, like this thing's gonna live forever, and it's like I'm gonna do like it's got to be, you know. But our motto on set was always one film. Like, if you asked me to make 2 films in 12 days, I don't know if I could do that. But I think if we all work really hard, we can make 1 film in 12 days. And also, like, this is going to be the one film where I can do just what I want. Because if you do a next film, you probably want more money. You know, you can't ask for all the favors. Well, if you take more money,
It is harder to make a small film than a big film.
Yeah. And then, but like if I were to take more money, then someone else would have a say in it, where everyone, you know, here was like, no, I'm gonna make the film exactly how I want it, you know, as long as my producers and the people who helped are happy, you know. And in that way, no matter what happens, you know, when I die, I have the movie I wanted to make, you know, and I'm proud of it. So that was definitely one of the big things, yeah.
I think we're wrapping up, so we can
We have,
wrap up with
we have a couple more questions. Go ahead, you first. Oh, thank you. As far as writing it, you know, when I was like, this might have been 6 or 7 years ago. I think this is, you know, I was talking to a different writer about this, you know, and he was really into the like, you got to cut back to the hospital, and then when we were shooting it, I was like, okay, I think we'll do some flashbacks, you know, but sometimes I didn't want to like rely on the flashbacks and things like that. But a lot of it
I
comes.
think your one big thing was you wanted to be take place in one day.
Yeah, one day.
Without flashbacks, without
Yeah.
jumps in time.
Yeah. But then it just kind of like, it was like, okay, well, this can get us a new scene. This could get us, make it feel bigger, you know, things like that. Also finding like a hospital location, like, you're like, okay, this is affordable. We can do this. And a lot of it's just accidents. A lot like in the cafe where she goes like, coffee for a guy with dead dad. That's not in the script. That was like a thing I was thinking about doing. That actually, the barista Kim is like one of my best friends, one of my first friends in LA. You know, she didn't have any lines. It was literally one line like, "You done with that?"
I think she came up with monkey milk.
She came up with monkey milk, yeah. And we had auditioned 500 people for this barista role, and it's literally just people going like, "Hi, I'm Cindy here for the barista. You done with that? Thank you." And you're watching 500 of these, and I'm like, "No, cast Kim. Like let's cut through this. Kim's funny." And I was like, "Hey, look, is this milk thing funny? Like, it's LA, they have all these stupid milks. Like, can you come up with a bunch of milk?" She's like, "Got you." And she wrote those all down. And then I was like, let's try this line where you say coffee for the guy with dead dad. I don't know if I'll use it, but let's try it. And then that was in the film forever. And then I actually put that flashback in. That was like one of the last edits. Because I needed it to play better.
Really in editing.
Yeah,
it's probably where that came out. Just
yeah.
Did you? How did the editing go?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just like kind of went at it as hard as I could. I was like, I'm gonna be college John. I'd go work and then I'd come home and just like edit till 3 a.m. and just got into like beast mode. But even that big flashback right before he gets the cassette, that was an accident. That wasn't in the movie. Like that's just like he's just sitting there and then he looks and he's going. And I was editing.
Were things going reverse? That part?
Yeah,
that was a great part.
That was man. That's an accident. I was editing the bench scene, and I was just scrolling through, and I hit backwards, and all of a sudden the cars go backwards. I go, ooh, that looks cool as hell. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, wait. When Jay's kind of staring, he should have and it should be in backwards. I was like, ah! I remember yelling like, ah! My wife was like, what? I was like, oh, you'll see, you'll see. And so I grabbed that, I threw that in there, and then I just started going through like, what are the, when you go back and think about a great day, like you kind of sporadically remember like, oh, what was this, and it's like, oh, well, I rode bikes and I did this and I did this. So then it's like, just start playing those backwards, and then you get to that kiss and you're like, okay, like, oh, what if this day didn't happen, So then that kind of became the thing. And you drop a nice rec song in there that kind of has that vibe of that memory thing. And then your sound mixer adds that little rewind thing. And I think it's like a nice little moment to kind of get you like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, we kept saying too, like in the film, like, how do we make this like, just like 10% weirder? How do you stand out? How do you like try doing like a couple little things to make it just like be a little different? And that was one of them. That was just a Bob Ross happy accident right there. Yeah. Oh. Okay, we'll hold on to that question. Go ahead.
So actually, if I have two questions.
Okay.
Really quick. The first one is, I really enjoyed the interview portion.
Yeah.
Played with that, the idea, kind of the reality of the film.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was just something that you were like, oh, this could be a cool addition, or if it was something that was kind of brewing, or a happy accident where you just kind of had that. And then my second question is,
I can't answer that. I don't think I'm quite qualified. I'd have to think of. I'd have to really do my Michael Jordan versus LeBron like showdown thing to give you a good answer. And your first question was
The TV interview.
the TV interview. I think that was a late addition to the film and in the script. I wasn't even sure if we were going to put it in. Remember?
That was one of the biggest questions when I saw the rough cut, was whether to cut that out or not.
Yeah, early versions we had. I think we were. Like the first pass, I was like, we got to cut this out. And I threw it in there late while we were thinking about making the film because I was like, again, how do you be 10% weirder? Like, let's just pull ourselves out of this world. And I was very concerned that the switch in Jay wasn't going to be believable. Because like up to that, he's just a regular guy. Everything's good, everything's good, everything's good. And then all of a sudden, he can't do the comedy show, and he just freaks out. You know, like people who had read the script was like, that's like a tough moment, you know, and then he freaks out and then he yells at me. Like, I don't know if this guy can get there. And I was worried, and then I was like, oh, well, what if like, you know, we just like smash cut to an interview and like we get a little on the inside. Like it was almost like a cheat code, you know, where you can like, I really like exposition, lay it out there, like, you know, like, or maybe you're afraid to lose something again, you know, like I hit you in the head with that. To kind of give you an insight, like, oh, maybe this guy's like cracking, and then he cracks. But definitely, when we first did the rough cut, I was like, maybe we'll get rid of that. And then I started tweaking it, and I created the intro that like Danny like we made it better. We did the show. Night Direct put a Fun's like 80s like or 90s Vicky song. You know, we kind of sent him videos of that, and then the crowd effect, the ooh, and that changes the whole thing. It went from like just like what is this weird thing to like, oh, I see what they're doing. But if I had a lot of money, I would have shot that like on a sound stage. Like I really wanted it to be like he's on like the Vicky Lake show, but we did the best we could with it. And then we kind of liked it. Once we added the sound effects and stuff, then it was like, oh, okay, like I think this works, so we'll leave it.
Before you get to the final thing, the announcements quickly. One, workshop tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at the end, but we can say it now too. Tomorrow, I mean, I know there's been tons of questions and I still have tons more, so tomorrow at 12 p.m. You
12?
can come back to this room,
Okay.
is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I'll sleep
You
in.
can come
We're gonna
back
party
to
tonight.
this room, at 12 p.m. to talk with John and Nate personally, pretty much bring any questions that you have. We'll have the film pulled up so we can go back to any moments in the film that you had questions about, break down a scene. It's really a chance for students and faculty, whoever would like to come, to really get a closer look at the film now that we've gotten to watch it. So please come tomorrow at 12 p.m. It'll be amazing, right back in this room, very easy.
Two more quick.
Yeah.
And by the way, I said to many people write many scripts. You got to go through those other scripts. How I Met a Girl. I always love that one. If you have a screenplay like John in your heart, I do have a screenplay that's the fault. If you have those stories, great. If you have the mustache stories, there's other screenwriting classes. But finally, as a professor, there's one big thing we have to answer here. Nate has never seen the movie.
I've never seen it finished.
What?
I'd never
you've
seen.
never seen
Oh my goodness.
I'd seen a rough cut, but this is my first time seeing the full finished movie.
So, kind of curious.
Yeah, what do you think, man? Yeah, can I ask you?
I mean, I love the movie. My main thoughts were kind of like looking at the technical parts of it, but no, I mean, it really is. I mean, from when I read the script, at one time I had a job working for a director, and her agent gave her a great big pile of scripts, and she said, okay, read all these scripts, tell me which one's good. And I read probably 30 scripts, and I don't think barely any of them were better than this script. So when I first read the script, I was very impressed by it.
Oh, thank you.
And I think the movie is the script. The movie came out
Yeah.
very close to the script. I think it was the movie you were going to make.
Yeah. Well, save that clip because I still remember a Pitt professor telling me I wasn't a good enough writer to get an A. And I told you, I live on spite. I live on spite. I'm gonna find her and I'm gonna send her that clip.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
What is next?
Okay. So when I was making this movie, I said, I am never doing this again.
I asked John the same question as we were finishing. I said, "What about your next one?"
And I was like, nope, done. One film. I said one film. I was like that. Making this film was very, very difficult on me. It was very, very hard, just everything. You know, like I said, I had to be the person I don't usually like to be. I had to do that. You have to ask for a lot. Like it's hard. It's really, really hard, you know. And it was really hard on me and my wife. My wife's my number one supporter. Like I said it too. Like I think she's the only person in this world that believes in me more than I believe in myself. And I'm a pretty cocky dude, so that's a lot. But it was like your brain becomes so. There was one time we were getting gas. It was a couple weeks before the film, and I'm pumping the gas, and I get in the car and I go, all right, let's go. And she's just like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, what? I'm like on my phone answering email. She's like, you left the gas, like you left the plug in. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And she was just like, you're not here. And I'm like, I know I'm not here, you know? And you kind of get like Jay gets with Danny, right? Like, oh, you want to have dinner? Well, I should be writing the film. And if it wasn't for you asking for dinner, I'd have this shot, you know, and then you're just like, you become a terrible person in a lot of ways. And also, like, we were using my house.
We took over the house.
We took over the house.
We kicked her out of it.
And my wife keeps a very clean, nice house.
And we had a ton of people stomping all over
Oh,
it.
just people stomping on. Someone stole a knife. She came back. She's like, a knife's missing. I was like, I don't know. Like, what do you want to fucking do? Like, I don't know where this knife. You know. She's like, I think someone stole it. I was like, they probably just like accident. I don't know.
And then you have to go to her parents and say, let's go to your house too.
Oh man, and we lied. They were like, how many people? I was like, 4. No, we had like 20. I was like, all this stuff, you know. So it was very, very difficult. And like I said, the last couple days were very difficult. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. But then this film came out, and now I'm like, damn, I should probably do this again, shouldn't I? I think I'm pretty good at this. I think people laughed at the jokes and people cried when they were supposed to cry. So, yeah. I mean, if Nate'll shoot it and Nice Rec will do the music, maybe we'll do another one. Yeah. So I have a couple ideas in my head that I think, I'd like to keep telling our stories, and hopefully audience shows up for that.